Hey, this is Mr. Layton back again. On the last video, we talked about technical practice, how to get those passages that are very difficult under your fingers, or just getting better at those technical passages. This time, we're talking about tuning. Tuning is important. We want to play the right notes so that when we're playing in a group and we play different notes that form chords, like this chord I'm playing on the piano that you can hear, those notes are in tune and you create these beautiful chords. Okay, so let's talk about the scientific aspect of it. So every pitch that we play produces sound waves, and they can be represented in this little diagram right here. Each high and low point on the wave is a single vibration. The number of vibrations per second depends on the pitch that we play and in what octave we play that pitch in. If we play the following, that's A, and that pitch produces or creates 440 vibrations per second. That's A on the piano. And we call that A440, but the units of measurement is 440 hertz. Now, if we were to play it higher, one octave higher, as it gets higher, the vibrations increase. So the same pitch is one octave higher. That vibrates twice as fast, and that vibrates at 880 vibrations per second, or 880 hertz. Now, if I go back to 440, we call that A440. As the pitch gets lowered, the vibrations decrease. So the same pitch, one octave lower than the original example, that's half the speed, and that's 220 vibrations per second. And those are all in units of measurements in hertz, or we can refer to them as frequencies. All right, so it is possible to play every pitch with the number of vibrations faster or slower than the desired outcome. If instruments in the group are playing pitches with different numbers of vibrations per second, then the sound waves do not line up, and that's when we sound out of tune. And you could sound right. It doesn't sound right. I'm just kind of smashing some keys on the piano to kind of demonstrate that. Um, but when the sound waves do not line up properly, we're playing out of tune. When we are playing out of tune, you will hear beats, a pulsing, like a whoa, 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 sound between the instruments. And mainly, we're talking about instruments. I mean, it could be string instruments that are slightly out of tune, but for the purpose of this video, it's mainly talking about wind instruments like flutes, clarinets, trumpets, all those instruments that are in the band. Okay, we must make adjustments with our airspeed, or we might need to adjust our tuning slide, or make an adjustment on our instrument to lengthen or shorten the note. So the vibrations will begin to line up, and then we can play in tune and sound like the same instrument or one instrument. So the idea is, like, if you have a section of six trumpet players, you want those six trumpet players to sound like a wall of sound, or like one trumpet. And um, this can be done with all these proper adjustments. So if you're too high, if you're playing too high, or you're basically sharp on your instrument, that means you are too high. If the tuner or your director says, "Oh, you are sharp," that means your note is a little bit too high, and so now you need to make your instrument longer. You need to lengthen the instrument and make it longer, or pull out on your tuning slide. Or if you play trombone, you can just simply adjust with your trombone slide, which is the beauty of playing trombone. Now, if you are flat, that means you are a little bit too low, and then you need to make your instrument shorter. You are too low, so you need to shorten the instrument to bring your pitch back up a little bit. Okay, and if you're a string player, you can think of just tightening it to make it shorter. So if you're too low, you got to tighten the string. If you're too high, you need to loosen the string. And so you want to make really small adjustments. Or you can use the speed of your air if you're a wind player. It's so that you can play in tune. So playing out of tune is displeasing to the ear, and it's going to make your band director or the people around you want to stick needles in their eyes. And it should be fixed immediately to allow for a top notch performance. An audience doesn't want to listen to an out of tune band. And it's like listening to someone scrape their fingernails down the chalkboard. Let's talk about some other key things that'll help you out. Okay. So, tuning concepts that you should try to work on is use a tuner, get a device. They're free apps, or Bandmate Tuner is a great one. Use the tuner, tune with a tuner. Do long tones or just adjust your stuff with a tuner and try to stop that needle right where it's in tune. And usually, most tuners will show you a green portion that says you got the right note. So, if you use air, this requires a steady embouchure and a steady airstream. You want to have an airstream that's like a laser beam. If you're playing in a group and you hear the wong, 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 you want to eliminate those waves. And so, you're going to make small, slow adjustments. If you are hearing the waves get slower, you're going the right direction. Whoa, 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 because that means the sound waves are about to match. And that's the idea. We want everyone's sound waves to be exactly matching, and that's how you play in tune. If the beats or the pulsing gets faster, whoa, 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 that means you're going the wrong direction. So you got to know how to adjust and how that works. And we just talked about that, like, making your instrument longer or making it shorter or adjusting the speed of which you're using your air. In my class, sometimes we use SoFi, the acronym SoFi. And it's because when they first built that stadium in Los Angeles, the SoFi Stadium, I was like, oh, this is great. Sharp out, flat in. So if your instrument's sharp, make your instrument longer. Pull out, sharp out. If your instrument's flat, push in, make your instrument shorter, sharp out, flat in. SoFi. Okay, so here's some other ways to improve your tuning, especially if you use your air. Good posture and breathing. Start singing your notes, internalize it, your notes. You might need to kind of hear it in your mind first. If you get better at that, you will start to play better in tune. Make sure that you are using a good embouchure in airstream, and just make sure you're adjusting your equipment too, because if your equipment is not working, that will affect your tuning. And temperature, actually, believe it or not, temperature affects your tuning, especially if you're in a marching band. If it's hot outside, your instrument's going to be sharp. If it's cold outside, your instrument's going to start to go flat. Okay, and I'm sure you've heard your band director say this, especially if you've been in marching band. They're like, blow air through your horn, because it's so cold outside. They're trying to keep that instrument at a temperature so that you remain in tune. So I hope this video's helped. In the next video, we're going to talk about band balance and the pyramid of sound. Where do you fit in this pyramid of sound? If you are a lower sounding instrument, you are the foundation. And that's going to be the next video. So thank you for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.